making an impact on foster care. I'm Lisa Allegas, and this is Newsmakers. According to the Adoption and Foster Care Analysis and Reporting System, nearly 329,000 children are reported in foster care as of September 2024, with more than 11,700 in Missouri. The numbers are high, but a local organization is working to reduce the numbers of those in foster care and offer supports for children who are. In this edition, we meet new leadership at FosterAdopt Connect and learn about their programs. We begin our conversation with Branch Director Kevin Seidenstricker. Kevin, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be here.
So this is a new position for you. Congratulations on that. Talk to us about being involved in an organization like this, and what do you think of its mission, and why is it so important?
Well, Lisa, I have to tell you that being involved with an organization like this is a true privilege. As the branch director, I'm not the person who is in the trenches on the front lines, changing lives, hopefully providing innovative programming to foster children and families who are being impacted by the child welfare system. It's our specialists who are out there doing that. So I get to sit back and watch the great work they do. The reason this mission is so important, Lisa, is that I challenge anyone to argue with me that our system isn't broken. Our society is not broken, and has been probably since the 60s, since parents started having to all work to get dual income homes. And those home life values have been lost. So today, what I feel we are seeing is just a breakdown in the home. And the mission of FosterAdopt Connect and the missions of many of our other very awesome nonprofits in the Joplin region, the good work they're doing, are trying to heal homes, heal children, so that they can not just survive the traumas and the crises they're going through, but thrive through them.
So it's called FosterAdopt Connect. How does the name reflect what you all do? So let's break that down for us, because it's not all about just with foster kids. So tell us about that.
And another great question, because when I first started just about 6 months ago with FosterAdopt Connect, I thought it rather odd that we would be not advocating for foster care, because FosterAdopt Connect believes the best place for a kiddo who's going through crisis is with their family. If they can't be with the mother or the mother and the father who might be part of the problem, then we need them to be with their other kin. And you're going to meet one of our great specialists, Lynn Hanshaw, later with our Kinship Navigator program. And so we try to keep the children in the home, and that's where they can really thrive.
So let's talk about, how do you get referrals? I mean, are you working with those in welfare, or do you have individuals come to you?
A little bit of both. Our website, which is really easy to remember, fosteradopt.org, at the top right-hand corner is a green tab that says Get Help. A person may self-refer if they visit our website, see the services that we offer, and think, I would love to take advantage of that opportunity. Or maybe it's a neighbor, a teacher in our public school system who suspects maybe there's some neglect, some abuse going on with the child at home. They can refer that child or the family to us as well. In the latter case, Lisa, what we ask is the people making the referral at least advise that family, the parent or parents first, before, within 24 hours, when we get that referral, we're going to call that person who made the referral, if it's someone else. And the first thing we're going to ask them is, have you talked to that family and told them you did this? Because within 48 hours, we will be reaching out to that family.
Yeah. And so then, do you also then work with the foster system, the state? I mean, I know quite often the goal is to not have kids go into the welfare system, because it can be very entangled with red tape. So let's talk a little bit about, give us an idea of a situation from which children might come to you. And if they're abused and neglected, we certainly don't want to leave them in a home. But so tell us, have they been removed from the home when they come to you, or is it more of a trying to prevent that?
Well, it's always trying to prevent that, and it's always tricky when we talk about temporary placement, when a child or children, siblings maybe even, are extracted from a home. It gets very tricky, and where can they go to be in a safe place first? It might be a temporary placement while that's going on. And FosterAdopt Connect enjoys a great relationship with the 3 different circuit courts that we service or work with throughout the 7 counties that we cover in Southwest Missouri. So there are 3 children's divisions that we work with in those circuit courts. Again, we enjoy a great relationship with them.
What are the 7 counties you cover?
I can't name them all right now, Lisa, but I can tell you it's from up north of Lamar, down south here to Jasper, McDonald, Newton counties, those areas.
Okay. So give us an idea of, I mean, there are struggles out there. So how do you determine, and assess what the family needs? Or if, if a child, you're sometimes helping find temporary placement, correct?
We don't help find the placement.
You help those where they're placed.
But where they are placed. Oftentimes, one scenario might be, stereotypically, this isn't always the truth, but it might be a 20-year-old young woman who has a 10-month-old baby and is doing her very best to cope with her challenges and provide a good, loving home to that child, but just comes to her own determination, I can't do this. So whose door does she knock on? Mom and dad's. So now the grandparents of this small child find themselves with basically a baby or young child in their home. They haven't raised children for 20, 25 years, and they might not be so well equipped with furniture, bedding, clothes, technology today. Obviously, that's not going to be the 9-month-old, but if it's a 9-year-old who gets dropped off at that child's grandparents' doorsteps, those grandparents these days might not be so well adept with cell phone technology and things like that. So we have our kinship navigators that work with them and help them understand the legal system, because they might be seeking custody, legal custody of the child, or even adoption down one point. But they also are trying to integrate that child into the public school system. Maybe this child needs an individualized education plan, and all those things can be very overwhelming.
So beyond their day-to-day emergent needs, we've had like Love and Grace on our show, which helps those who age out of foster care. We know one of the challenges is not having maybe a standard family support system. Many of us, so tell us about the You Thrive program and its mission. Well,
Cheyenne Ababaker is our CCYT, Community Connections Youth Thrive Specialist. And she services young adults between the ages of 17 to 26 years old, either getting ready to age out of foster care or have aged out of foster care. Oftentimes, those foster children aren't always afforded the opportunity to learn basic life skills, like going to the DMV, registering to vote, how to write a proper resume, how to fill out an application for an apartment or find a roommate so that they can afford an apartment. And so our CCYT specialists then, who by Foster Adopt Connect mandate must have lived that foster experience themselves.
And how does that help when you have, because foster kids, I know I used to interview them at KOAM, a lot are resistant to make, they put up a wall. So does it help that they're working with someone who knows what they've been through?
Lisa, it absolutely helps, because I think what you experienced was a lack of trust with those young adults. It's a fear that is easily overcome by someone who's lived that experience, can not just sympathize, but empathize with what they're going through, and it immediately builds a trust.
So then what are some of the skills they're going to teach them so that they can maybe be independent and on their own?
How to shop smart, how to find good bargains, how to budget is another big one.
And especially for kids who may have been like in a group home, you may not have learned those family setting style.
Exactly right. And sometimes it's even just as simple, Lisa, as how to keep a clean bathroom on your own.
Wow. So one way, Kevin, you help those in foster care and their families is a clothing and supply closet called Sammy's Window. Now give us an idea of who can access this and the items they might be able to find.
Well, Lisa, I'm glad you brought up Sammy's Window, because we are very proud of our boutique that's located on 32nd Street, 1802 West 32nd. If you know where Sakura is in Del Rio, we're right smack dab in the middle of there. And we love to have not just our current foster or adopt clients come in, but those who they don't have to be current clients. If they are foster parents, they are welcome to bring their children in and shop once a month. It's for free. Everything in there is donated, and we will not put anything on a hanger in Sammy's Window that we wouldn't put on our children or wear ourselves. So it's all in good order. Even if a person, Lisa, was in foster care for just 3 days when they were 8 years old, and now they're 22. They're welcome to come in and shop at Sammy's Window. So anybody who's in or has ever been in the foster adoptive system.
Well, and especially those who may just, to have temporary custody, if you need diapers, things like that,
Yep.
those are supplies that can get expensive.
Yes, very expensive. And so we have everything for male and female, from diapers, pull-ups, just like you said, onesies and all that, up to adult clothing, hygiene products, feminine hygiene products, toys. We're usually on short order, able to put together a pretty healthy food sack, or 3 or 4 as well.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about fundraising, because it is something, yours is a charity. So
bet.
tell us what you have in the future coming up for a fundraiser.
Well, Lisa, in the immediate future, on the 3rd of April, we have teamed with the Joplin Disc Golf Club, a dynamic group of young men who've actually been playing disc golf and running tournaments for almost 20 years now, some of them. And so we are teaming up with them for a disc golf tournament that'll be at McClelland Disc Golf, well, at the park. And we are really excited to be part of that tournament because they have 2 courses there. We'll also be using a course in Neosho for that particular one, but the one at McClellan is a highly rated disc golf course. And I encourage anyone who's never played disc golf to get out there and just try it, because this will be for amateurs. Of course, we want to get some pros there too. But anybody who might be an amateur and think, maybe I should try this, you're not going to embarrass yourself.
It's fun, and proceeds help Foster Adopt Connect.
Exactly right.
All right, great stuff. So in our next segment, we're going to talk to those who work in prevention and parenting programs supporting families. How do you work? You said you work with 3 different court systems. So do you have a certain liaison there?
We do. At each children's division in those circuit courts, we have 1 or 2 people that we work with, and that really helps our relationship with them to receive referrals from them.
You bet.
And work with their caseworkers too.
All right, we're going to talk more about that. Thank you, Kevin, for all that great information. We're going to take a break. When we return, a look at prevention programs designed to support biological connections for kids and families.
I could give up on myself, but I couldn't give up for them. They were little, they didn't know what was going on, they needed the guidance, all the emotional support that they could receive. Their fathers aren't in their lives, their mother had just left their life, so they're parentless, and I knew they needed somebody. And if I was gonna be that somebody, then I was gonna make it work.
She made it work with help from FosterAdopt Connect. When we first met this young woman, whom we called Abby, she had just become sole guardian of her nieces and nephews, then ranging in age from 3 to 12. She found clothes, toys, and supplies at Sammy's window.
It made me really happy that she took us in. She took care of us. That's why I love her so much.
I knew I didn't want them to go into the foster care system. If it wasn't necessary, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I don't know how, but I'm gonna do it.
She also found guidance from kinship navigator Lynn Hanshaw.
I try to help with guardianships, adoptions, finding beds, linens, food, getting the right school system, IEPs, just kind of guiding them through any system that they may come in touch with.
And she was a lot of help. She helped us apply for a lot of the resources that we needed, such as welfare benefits. Without the resources that we've received, I don't know where we would be today. They helped provide security and stability within our family. I think at this point, we've kind of established a family routine, a family home. So I'm excited to continue to watch them grow, trying to raise them best to my ability, best to my knowledge. As someone that's also been in their shoes where custody was in question, I think I try to prevent a lot of hardship on their lives, because they did go through a lot of hardships when they were younger, unfortunately. But here we are, growing, thriving, and here we are to this day, and we are actually working towards an adoption.
Without her, I don't know what I would be. It would be difficult. I would have maybe been lost, just like my mother, but I'm really thankful. I really am.
The change of my aunt taking us all in has changed our lives for the better. As she said, we all have grown from what we were and found new versions of ourselves. But I feel like with finding those new versions, more will come.
I hear parents all the time talk about how a child changes your life. And I've never been able to experience that because I hadn't had children of my own. But when I receive them, the love that I receive is so abundant. The love has been worth it all. But the hardship was a beautiful lesson.
I learn best by doing.
I enjoy helping others.
I want to leave my mark.
Here, I discovered what I can do and who I can become.
What begins on this campus moves into studios, hospitals, and communities around the globe.
This is Missouri Southern State University.
Explore boldly.
Care deeply.
Impact globally.
One expanded mission built with lion pride.
Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we are looking in depth at the work of FosterAdopt Connect with those in foster care and with families to prevent children from being placed in the system. Joining our conversation now are prevention specialist Miranda Hamilton and kinship navigation specialist Lynn Hanshaw. Ladies, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So before we dive into the services, why is it important to make an effort to keep kids out of foster care if possible and in the home setting?
Because we have found that children do much better if they are able to stay in the home with their parents in most situations.
Is there something traumatic when they are maybe taken out and removed from the home?
Yes, absolutely. It is very traumatic for children to be removed from their parents. Even the children who are in abusive situations, they still almost always want to be with their parents. So it's hard on them for being removed.
Yeah, we certainly don't want kids in abusive homes, but cases like neglect can have their roots maybe in finances. So talk about supports for parents, whether it be financial or training, to be a better parent that you guys have.
Sure. So my program is the Parent Support and Prevention, formerly Fostering Prevention. And so I come in and I work with families once a week for a year. I go to their home, I spend about an hour with them a week, and we work on all kinds of parenting class stuff. I do an assessment with them in the beginning to see what their strengths are, what areas they need to work on. I teach things such as alternative forms to discipline, maybe for families who are currently just spanking, and then we look at, okay, what other options are there besides spanking? We talk about redirection, we talk about potty training, we talk about things such as violent relationships, abusive relationships, because maybe you have a teenager that's in an abusive relationship and you don't know how to help them navigate that, or maybe you yourself are in an abusive relationship. So we have lessons on all kinds of stuff like that. So I do the parenting part with them, and then I also do things like I can help you apply for Medicaid, I can help you apply for food stamps, I can help you find a pediatrician for your child. I do mock job interviews with clients who get really nervous for job interviews. So we might 6 or 7 times do a mock job interview until they feel comfortable going to the actual interview. I do some supportive counseling stuff, just kind of, sometimes they just need someone to talk to. They just need someone to listen.
Got a vent.
Yes, we all need that person. And a lot of the families that I work with don't have someone like that in their life. So another thing that I do is I try to help them find social support systems. And so if they don't have any immediate family or any close friends, then we branch out a little bit further as far as, okay, do you have someone at your church that you maybe could, make friends with more? Or is there another mom at your kid's school? Kind of stuff like that, because the bigger support system they have, the more people they have to help.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned that you go to their homes. How does that work, and why is it important for that maybe to be an option? Do some of these folks have a difficult time with transportation?
Yes. I would say the majority of my clients either don't have a vehicle or they don't have gas money. So I go to them and I drive. I have one client that's an hour and a half away in El Dorado Springs. So I kind of go all over a big, broad area. And I drive to see them once a week. And the ones that do have vehicles, they can come. Like today, I had a client that came and met me at the office, and she also shopped in our boutique while we were there. So for the ones that don't have transportation, then they tell me what they want, and I shop for them and bring it to them. So they still have access to that stuff. They just don't come themselves to get it.
It's certainly a good resource. So obviously it's a difficult thing to take children away from their homes and parents, but sometimes it is necessary. Usually relatives are sought first. So Lynn, talk to us about kinship navigation and how that works.
Kinship navigation is, it can be one of two ways. They can be either a formal placement, so Children's Division has came in, they may have formally removed the kids from the parents' care already, or it could be what's called a TAPA, which is a temporary alternative placement. And so those kinship families, which can be grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, and sisters, to even what we call fictive kin. So the next door neighbor who always lets Tommy come over and play every day after school, or a teacher who the child trusts. I can come in and help them navigate the system, figure out what they need, especially like when it's a TAPA, there's no financial assistance coming in from the state. Normally foster care parents get what's called a stipend every month to help raise these kiddos. TAPA placements don't, so I help them navigate. Again, like what she does, food stamps, making sure the kids have Medicaid, finding the pediatricians, making sure the kids are signed up for the free school lunch menus and things like that. So that's when Children's Division is involved. But the other half of my caseload is a lot of what's called informal placements, where the parents are just like, I can't raise them, or I don't have the capability to raise them, and they drop them off at the family's house. And so we have grandparents and aunts and uncles, again, raising kids who may not have raised kids in several years. And so it's getting them to navigate the school enrollment systems. They may have changed schools, finding all those supports again that they need to start being a parent again, maybe after many years of not being a parent. I know personally with me as a grandparent, when I have my grandkids for 2 days even by myself, I'm like, oof, how do I even do this? So
I used to have so many things. I sold them at a garage sale.
yes, exactly.
Well, we did previously interview and have shown a segment of a young woman who took in 4 nieces and nephews, which you would think could be overwhelming, especially for a single woman. She received many support. So what are some things that family members might need if they are taking custody? And, you know, do even family members need a referral then to seek help? Or can they just come to you and say, hey, I have a family member, they may need your help?
Either way, we get a lot of referrals through our website. They can self-referral by either hitting that Get Help button that Kevin talked about earlier. Sometimes Children's Division calls me. A lot of times the school will call me, or maybe Early Head Start or places like that. And all we do is we ask that, hey, yeah, have them put in their own referral, or if you put in a referral, just let them know that you're doing the referral first. Because the name of our business can be kind of scary. If I would call somebody up and they didn't know who we were, if I said, hey, I'm FosterAdopt Connect, they may think I'm trying to come and take the kids from them.
Right.
So we try to have that soft handoff so they know easily, or they know right up ahead of time that we would be calling. With that family that you were talking about earlier, she's doing great. One of the things that we helped do with her at first was find bigger housing. She didn't have car seats for the baby, so we got car seats. We got dressers, beds, I think even a kitchen table for her. And it's been about 3 years now, and I talked to her recently, and she's going to be adopting her nieces and nephews here real soon. So it's going to be a good closure for the family, and the kids are excited for this.
Some of the things you don't think about that can be a parenting challenge, especially if you were not raising that child, is, you know, maybe they have difficulty at school, or maybe they might need tutoring. How are those things played out with your agency giving some help?
I know both Miranda and I have a lot of resources. We've really fostered connections with the school systems. I know for me, a lot of my kiddos have IEPs, individual education plans. And so I've really gotten to know the special education teachers in those schools. So we have that bond, and we can help those families work through those issues. I've even developed what I call an IEP care book. And so I have all this information ready for the caregivers so they can go and know how to do an IEP and advocate for their child. Working with the schools is really important, because a lot of times these kids, especially for my kiddos, I don't know for Miranda's, but they don't have their birth certificates, they don't have their shot records, they don't have their social security cards. And so it's helping them gather all that information and get them ready to transfer schools. So.
I mean, it seems like sometimes red tape, but it is something that is necessary for them to have.
Exactly.
Let's talk about, you know, the struggles those kids might face, because even if they're moving in with a relative, are they challenged? Are they, you know, can they be upset? Do they sometimes need counseling that needs as well?
A lot of times, especially for my kiddos, they've come from a tumultuous house, possibly. Mom and dad may be experiencing domestic violence, or maybe substance use in the home. They may just not even have enough money for food, and so there's, you know, the food neglect and stuff. A lot of the kids don't know how to behave. I don't like that word. They don't cope well when they all of a sudden have boundaries they have to follow and chores they have to follow. You know, if neglected by withholding food, they may hoard food. I've talked with a lot of parents who are like, I walk into their bedroom and there's a basket of food underneath their bed. What am I going to do? So we come up with ideas on how the kids know this is my food. I can have it whenever I can. Just kind of learning those behaviors, and then working with Will's Place, trying to get them in quicker, or Rafa House if they've experienced sexual assaults and abuse. Just kind of forming those relationships with the organizations that we can.
How many families are you guys able to help each year?
So for me, a full caseload is 12 families, and I keep my families for approximately a year. So I actually just got 6 referrals in the past 2 weeks, so I have a wait list now. So sometimes if a family does amazing, they can be closed a little bit early. If they've got all the help they need and they don't need me anymore, then they would go into aftercare. So that's a 6-month thing where I just do a call or text once a month to check in. But once a family is a client of ours, from now on, they can come shop at our Sammy's window for free once a month. And it's for everyone in their household. I don't know if Kevin already said that or not.
Yeah.
But
Well, he did mention it's all ages, but I mean,
Yes.
you don't think it's not just the child that's in foster
Right,
care. It can be
right.
the whole family that has needs. So.
yes.
So, and then just briefly tell us, I mean, what is the measure of their success? You know, I mean, how do you know they're ready? And then do you ever have to make referrals saying this isn't working?
So maybe not that this isn't working. I would say if a family is maybe on the fence if they want to do our program, because they're all voluntary.
Sure. Okay.
And so if they aren't all in when they start, and then they've canceled a lot of no-shows, that kind of stuff, you know, after 3 or 4 of those, we do close them out and go on to the next one. But for the most part, I think that people want help and they want to be the best parent they can be. So they do soak up that information and they do try to put that into action. So once they are, you know, they've been doing that 9, 10, 11, 12 months, I can see how they are with their kids. I can see their kids' behavior changing. I can see their self-confidence increasing. You know, maybe now they know all the resources that we connect them with, all the food pantries, you know, the places to go to get help for all these different things. Once we've worked with them for so long, they don't need us to tell them all of that because we've taught them and now they know. So at that point, then they should be able to be okay without us or without me. For my program is kind of a different time frame than hers. But yeah.
Hopefully it's all successful, and we wish you the best. Thank you for all the great information. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having us.
That wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Thanks to all our guests, and thank you for watching.